How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination all revved up, get into some creativity, and it's time to get into some animation. So let's get inspired. Today's inspiration comes from Michael Whelan, and if you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. He is a wonderful fantasy and concept artist. I really dig his style. He's got a really nice sense of polish on top of all his work. I think he just has a really lovely way of working. His process seems like he's really mastered his craft. Everything that I see just feels like it has this extra gloss and extra sheen to it. There's so much precision in each and every stroke of his brush, digital or in regular medium. I think he works in both, but I just really love it. It's almost like he works in 3D and then brings it into a 2D medium with a tablet, or like I said, it's got a really nice polish. I think his sense of lighting, his sense of rendering of different materials is just positively gorgeous, and he's always has a really unique composition as well. I really dig his stuff. Like I said, the thing that I love most is the extra that he puts on top of that. Like, you could do a really usually I tend to like a little bit of grit or roughness in a piece of work, just personal preference, but in his stuff I really like it because there's like nothing. You can't find almost a stroke out of place in his final rendering of something, and I think that's just a lot of work goes into that to make sure it's just fully polished out. His backgrounds always have this nice kind of gradient feel throughout as well, and really gorgeous color choices. And like I said, a really interesting way to render form. The line of action throughout that creature is really cool too. And really nice focus here. And you see the whole composition just really pulls the eye inward to focus in this part right here. And then on that head as well, you can just see the whole composition is almost like arrows just shooting through here, just pinpointing towards where your eye is supposed to be directed. And even through right here, even this part, it all just works so well together. Gorgeous. Really imaginative stuff. Huge fan of his work. So let's take a look at a quote I was able to find from him. He said, "Illustration was always my guiding light through the years." And I think that's a wonderful thing. I really urge you guys, if you don't know, chances are, if you're watching this, you're probably into some sort of visual medium, whether art or illustration or drawing or whatever it is. But find what it is that you're passionate about, and it'll help you through those times that are tough, because you'll have that moment where you can just really get in the zone, get in the flow, get in the focus, that heightened state. If it's music, after the first 5 or 10 minutes of sitting down, getting your instrument out, starting to play a little bit, then you just start hitting that flow, and then like an hour goes by and you don't even know where it went. So I really hope that you guys can find that. If you've already found it, then I hope that you're pursuing it, and remembering in those tough days how much you love the craft, and on those good days being thankful that you found what it is that you're passionate about. I really love his stuff. Like I said, I think he's just got... I toy between this personally, just I guess anecdotally here. These guys almost look like giant ants too. I like how he structured these characters here. I realize it's just like background trees, but this one in particular almost looks like two arms hanging down, and it's really cool. But I was going to say, I tend to like a little bit of grit. I think I mentioned that already, but his work almost makes me rethink that style as well. So let's go ahead and get into some animation. This is the Axe rig. It's a free rig from the Dota 2 collection of rigs that's available over in the Steam community. I'll throw a link in the description below, along with more information on Michael, who I may be saying, is it Whelan or Whelan? Let me know, comments down below. If you're not familiar with what we'll be doing for the rest of the video, I go off and I find a rig that I've never used before. It's a free animation resource for you guys to play around with as well. And give ourselves around 48 frames, give or take. Yesterday was a lot, seemed like a lot longer. And we kind of go from there. A little bit of over the shoulder, just hang out with me while I animate. A little bit of talking through the process or something to do with the creative world and universe in general. The main goal of doing these videos each and every day is to hopefully encourage you guys and inspire you to go off and create something. Use your imagination, be creative, add something to your world, add something to your skill, hone those skills even tighter, and just go out and do something, make something each and every day. No matter what, don't let anything stand in your way. Follow your dreams, take another step in your journey. So let's get animating. So I was thinking for this one, yesterday's ended up being almost a 2-hour video, so I think I'm gonna try and keep this one a little bit shorter. So we'll do a cycle, but I think I want to do almost like a quadruped style cycle here with this guy. We'll see what the rig will allow us to do here. I think that could be fun. Just like a big bearish kind of character here. Let's do a little bit less that back and try to blend it into those two here. Okay. Let's get these hands working here. Rotate them a little bit this way. This guy almost felt kind of gorilla-ish, so I thought that would be kind of fun to get in and do one of these kind of 4 quadruped style walks. Now, do we have any sort of rotate here? It's just the toe. Okay, I think I'll probably tweak that a little bit more, but let's go ahead and create a polygon primitive. Let's just create a cube here, just so we have a ground plane, so we can know where we want to put the hands there. Let's scale that in a little more this way, and this way as well. Try and center it here. Let's see, because yeah, those fingers are too into the ground there. Kind of a funky curve on that one, so let's do it manually. Are you gonna give me trouble here? Fingertip. Or are you gonna rotate correctly here? Okay, that's kind of funky. So let's try and see if we can come up with a workaround there. Have to really lock it in place ourselves rather than doing something with just the individual attributes here. That's okay. I do kind of want to tilt that one a little bit. Alright, and let's look at this one here. Try to curve that in a little bit. This one I want to avoid using translation if I can. I would stretch it too much. Try to keep just with some curvature here. Just kind of bends funny. It's got a little bit of a geometry. Let's take a couple steps back here. See, it's got a little bit of bleeding geometry here, so let's zero this out and see if we flatten it out completely, if that'll get rid of that geometry problem here. Okay, yeah, there's nothing there, so let's try and push it where we don't break it too much. You can already see that little tip of the geometry starting to break there, so let's try and find a good bend to these two so we can still get that flat that we want. Bring that down. That'll work. And we just want to create that more interesting storytelling pose to start with. Bring that back here. let's try and rotate that up over and give us a little bit of flat on the toe here. Bring that foot up a little bit more. A little more break in the toe. And I'll do that. I normally would like to keep that flat on the ground, but we'll figure it out here. Add up there. This one flat. Push that forward a little bit more. Push this one in a little bit. Push that one back a little bit further. Let's tilt the head up a little bit more. It's kind of looking forward there. Okay, let's drop the ponytail down. Oh darn, is ponytail not going to work for us? What a bummer. Would have been fun to add a little bit extra there, but at least the rest of this rig seems to be working pretty well. So, alright, I think we can start with that. So let's go ahead and save our file. We are using Autodesk Maya 2014 for today's video. For more information on that and all the stuff we've talked about so far, check out all the links in the description below. And let's set our frame range. Like I said, I want to keep this around 48 frames. I think I'm going to do 50 because I think I'm going to keep it on 10s rather than 12s. Maybe I want to do 12s. Something a little bit slower. Let's keep it at 10s. I think that might work for us. So let's go ahead and grab everything. Make sure we only have our NURB curves, NURB surfaces, and our polygons selected so we don't key anything we don't need. And we'll go ahead and set our first key there. And let's get started here. So let's go 10. And we'll push that forward. We'll push that forward. We'll grab both of those. Key those, and then we'll flick between those, and that'll be every 10 frames. I think we'll need to go 60 if we want to cycle correctly. And bring that back, so let's see. Too fast. Let's keep it for right now. Let's look at this one. And we'll go in here, try and keep those around the same spacing. If I bring that back to 10. Let's look at the foot. Bring that back to what we have there. And then move that to 10. Okay, delete that one. Grab those two and let's flick between those two here. Move that to 20. Move that to 30. 40. We're just kind of flicking between those two main keys and let's see. Yeah, I think that timing will work. Maybe it's a little fast. I think I'll keep it. Okay. I always try to get a good rough sense of timing locked in before I add too much in there, just to see if the whole feel of it feels timed. In the way that I'm shooting for. That's my personal thing. I tend to like looking at timing a lot and trying to get that working before I really get into pushing posing or working through a lot of other things. I find for trying to work quickly and get something that is workable within an hour with you guys each and every day, that kind of getting a good sense of timing is really important before starting to get into any sort of detail at all. And let's look at the translate wise. I think that's going to be a little too much here. Let's scale that back. But you guys might work different. There's two kind of big workflows that are straight ahead versus pose to pose, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, but the quick little rough would be something like yesterday would be more pose to pose than something like today, and that would be where you really lock in one pose, then you move to the next pose, and then the next pose, and you work between those, versus straight ahead, which is really kind of this is more of actually a layered method, I guess, of animation, but straight ahead is where you start at frame 1 and work all your way to frame 60. But then you probably have to do a couple passes there. Whereas pose to pose would be like you pop into a frame at 0, and you pop in a frame at 25, and then you pop in a frame at 60, and you really get those really nice strong poses. But I find sometimes with doing really strong poses, it can be a lot trickier to get your arcs correctly and get things moving a little bit better between that versus a straight ahead for myself. But albeit I think a lot of times, especially with these quicker videos, my posing could be pushed a lot more. So that's kind of the basic workflow difference. But like I said, for kind of my particular workflow, I guess like I said, would be more of a layered method. I usually start with the feet, then go to the hips, and go to the arms, and then start doing like a pass of the feet, then a pass of the hands, and kind of just seeing how it all comes together, and a lot of watching it and working on it while we're looking at it, making kind of tweaks on the fly rather than really locking in a really strong pose, which is what I used to do more, and I find now that I'm trying to work quicker and get a quicker workflow, this tends to work a little bit better for trying to get something that looks halfway decent within an hour every day that we spend together. So let me know, what kind of workflow you guys do, if you think that works, if you like different, what your specialty is, any of that kind of stuff too. Always looking forward to different workflow methods as well. Yeah, let's go do a little lift there, so let's see. I think I'm going to switch the hips to go up on the passing position instead of down. Might seem a little more realistic. Okay, and let's go ahead and push the hips over that planted foot there, and over here, and over there. Turn that grid off, it's bugging me. And then push them over there, over here, over there, and back again. And let's look at that translate X, let's balance that out a little bit better. We'll bring that back, we'll bring that up, over. Let's rotate to favor that leg here, and this leg there. Make sure we do it on the right frame. There, 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 and then back to where we started. Now let's tone that down and balance that out as well. So obviously we're favoring the initial tilt from that initial pose rather than the other side, so we want to make sure that we're not going to favor the left over the right or vice versa. Right, now let's go ahead and grab the chest here, and let's rotate to favor this planted arm here, and that one, that one, that one, and back again. Feels like there's too much on the chest, so let's go ahead and scale that all back. Grab all these and cut them about in half here. Let's see here how we're doing. And then let's go this way, and we'll tilt to favor that side a little bit, that side, that feels a little over the top. So let's balance it out, but before I really minimize it too much, I want to do this kind of offsetting in the hips from that move. Alright, so let's look at the hip here. And then when this leg's up, I want to tilt it that way, that way, that way, that way, that way, that way, and then back. Okay, I think we need to balance that out a little bit better, especially this outliner was way too much. You can see him start to really lean over that way, and we don't want to do that. We just want to give a little bit of twist and tilt to favor whichever part of the body would be planted on the ground. That's the way the body would lean into. So let's look at that now. Still feel like the chest is probably a little over the top, which I think would be the rotate Y's. So let's scale those back. Just feels a little too much like it's moving rather than it's reacting to the movement. So let's see that. That feels a little better. One thing that I think might help is if we pushed this arm out a little bit more. So let's see how that feels. Feels like it was a little too inward. There we go. Feels a little better. There's kind of some deformation in that thumb, part of that rig. Alright. Now I want these to feel a little bit harder. So let's lift it up a little bit more here. So 2 frames before, and we'll pound down. Let's see. Alright, and let's look at the translate Y's. Let's clean that up a little bit more. So really get some weight in those lifts. And I think we could probably lower that a little bit more here. Maybe raise it universally up a little bit more. Alright, let's look at the other side. So 2 frames here, lift it up, slam it down, 2 frames up, 2 frames up, pound it down. I think this one needs to be a little bit lower, and the other one needs to be a little bit higher. So we'll balance these out, and then we'll grab both sides and kind of compare to find a good middle ground. Middle ground? Middle ground. That's a weird word. So let's bring that back. Middle ground. Welcome to Middle Earth. What if we made it not so hard? Give us 1 more frame. Kind of like a big. Yeah, let's leave them like that. We'll add some rotating everything in there. Now these steps, I want them to be higher. I'm fine with them not being as heavy as the front ones, but I think they universally need to be higher steps. So let's see. let's tone down the hip. It feels a little too much. Probably means we'll have to tweak the chest and stuff again, I'm sure. But it just feels like there's too much twist in there. We can have a little bit, but it feels a little over the top. Let's see. Alright, let's tone down all the movement we have here. It'll be our rotate Ys and our rotate Zs. We're going to scale them back. This one up. Let's see how it feels. I think we could go down a little bit more. Feels like it's a little too much up, so let's grab our translate Ys and let's push them down a little bit further. Now let's look at these feet. Let's go and drag them back a little bit here. Drag it back a little bit here. Drag it back. Let's look at the toe. So 12, maybe up 20, 32, 40, 52. Back again. So 5, we'll rotate it back. 10, we'll lift it up. Put it down. 5, drag it back. 10, lift it up, down. Drag it back. Lift it up, down. Alright, it's a little over exaggerated, so I'll scale it back, and we also are going to need to translate the foot higher to offset this toe so the toe doesn't really intersect through the ground plane. So let's look at the translate Y, and we're going to need to lift that up so it's high enough here. Alright, so let's see that. And let's look at the other side here. So like I said, let's do a little bit of drag back there. We'll go forward, drag back there, just so we get a little bit of change of shape on the heel. It's not in that same kind of position. And then we're going to want to lock it in at 10, and 22, 30, 42, 50. Okay. So let's go ahead and lift it up a little bit here, go down, drag it back, lift it up, down, drag it back, lift it up, down, drag it back, lift it up, and bring that a little bit less. So let's see. Now one thing I think I might also do is raise the hips universally up a little bit higher, just so those steps aren't so squished inward, but also I think I'll rotate X down a little bit lower than just universally throughout everything. Alright, now let's look at a little bit of rotate X up here, down there, 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 and back again. And I'm sure that's needs to be cleaned up a lot more, but we'll go with that. This will add a little bit of compression into the chest, so we get some change of shape in the back, the spine area as well, once we offset the chest from what we're doing with the hip here. Can't get Metal Earth stuck out of my head. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. Okay, now we need to get the chest. So I want to go a little bit down here, and a little bit up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and back up. Obviously, we have a bit too much, so let's scale it back and balance it out. Now that we don't need this much. And then it'll be kind of that game between, is it too much in the chest, or is it too much in the hips, or is it not enough in the chest, or not enough in the hips? We'll probably do a couple of adjust it here, then adjust it there, until we find that sweet spot. So let's see. See how we're doing. Feels like a little too much towards the end, so let's loosen or shorten that up a little bit more. There we go. See, that way we just get that little bit of looseness. And I'd rather have it in the hindquarters with a little bit of balance and just some looseness in the front than vice versa, because the chest is so much bigger, so it's going to be so much more noticeable. Let's go ahead and save our file. We haven't done that for a little while. And let's start looking at these fingers here. Actually, let's look at the rotation of the wrist before we go anywhere. So let's look at 13. We'll rotate it. And we have to do these individually. Back here. We'll rotate it back there. Back here. Alright, now let's see how that plays out. Try and balance those moves a little bit more. Tweak our rotations here. Go over just a little bit forward. I do that at 2, a little bit forward, down, a little bit forward, down. Right, and let's balance that out a little bit better. It's pretty close. There we go. Alright, now let's look at the other hand and do something. Got a hiccup, excuse me. Drag it back there. Go a little bit forward here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Where are we? Then let's drag it back here a little bit. Go a little bit forward there. Back here a little bit. A little bit forward there. Now let's see how we're doing. Okay, and let's kind of balance those out a little bit better. You can have some variety to them, but just so they kind of have the same feel throughout. nice thing about it, if you have three things, you can kind of tell that you might be somewhere in the middle of all three. Have a couple of points there that you can play between. Alright, go ahead and save that. Let's start looking at the fingers here. So we want to grab all of the finger controllers and set them there, set them there, set there, 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 there. Okay. And at 5, we'll kind of group them in a little bit so they drag, go out and pull in, drag back, go out and pull in, drag back, out, pull in. And we need to push that back so that it's at 60. And bring that over there. So we get a little bit of recoil there. And let's look at, make sure I delete that extra frame there. Okay, let's look at all the tips. We'll go ahead and delay those a frame. And we'll take the pinky finger, we'll delay that a frame, index, we'll push it forward a frame. That should give us some variety to work with. So let's see. I think we could amp this one up a little bit more. So right here where it drags back, we could have it go a little bit further. There, go a little bit further. There, go a little bit further. Let's see. We'll take this one, we'll amp it up a little bit more as well. And let's look at this guy, amp him up a little bit more. And the tip a bit more. Okay, and let's look at the thumb. this one. And we'll go at what? 13, 20, 33, 40, 50, or 53, and 60. Okay. So we'll drag it a little bit here. We'll go forward, 10, and then back. Drag it a little bit here, 3 frames before that, 30, go forward, back. Drag it a little bit here, forward, and back. And we're still do a little bit of ease into that position as well. So let's see how that feels. I think we can do a bit more drag. So let's exaggerate that a little bit more. Alright, go ahead and save our file, and let's look at the fingers on this hand. So 12, 20, 32, 40, 52, 60. And then we'll go curl kind of in here and out there, in here, out there, in here, out there, back. And we'll take all the tips and we'll delay those a frame. Take our index and we'll push it forward a frame. And the pinky, and we'll push it back a frame. Just so we get a little variation there. And just to mix it up a little bit more, let's grab this one and give it a little more variety. So just tweak our extremes a little bit more. So that our grouping might be a little bit different. Now let's look at the neck here and give a little bit of movement to the head. So we could drag it back here. And out there. And this is probably too much. I'll scale it back in a second. And back to where we were. Just so we can have a little bit of movement there. I wish we had that little top braid to play with, but unfortunately that controller's not working on this rig, so beware if you guys are going to play around with this one that at least in the link that I will provide at this time, it isn't functioning. That's okay, there's a lot of other great stuff with this rig. It seems to be pretty malleable as well. So we get some fairly decent movement out of it. And let's see how that feels. There we go. Like I said, just a little bit of looseness in the neck here. Now it's like here, is this going to work or not? It does. Okay, great. So let's go at 5, and we'll rotate that stuff down a little bit and back. 15. We're going to want to go out and forward a little bit. Let's actually go a little bit less there. And take this one to 25 and this one to 35, 45, 55, and then back. Let's see. I think we need to do some more tweaking here. Let's start somewhere like that. This one I'm gonna go out more, back more. Let's see. Let's take what we have there and bring that back. Let's see. Still feel like this one needs to go over here more. There. Let's see. This one should be up higher, more forward. So 20, 40, 60. Maybe a little bit less on that extreme there. So that's going to be 20, 40, and 60. Let's step back and keep it where it was. And then let's look at this one. So we'll go down there. Lift it up here. Over here. Over there. This is just kind of an extra thing. It's not a necessity. So let's see. I think these might be a little too extreme, too high. We'll lift off. Okay. Gonna save that. And then I think, is there any other things I could play around with on this one? There's extra little doodads. I don't think these work, unfortunately. And let's see here. Oh, there's a little bit of facial stuff we could do. Let's have them have a more interesting starting facial expression here. It's cool that they give us some of those. So let's see. Make him a little more focused. Maybe a little bit grumpier. This feels a little better. And let's do jaw open. Do a little bit of that. So drag. And then close. And open. Close. And this is obviously too much, so we'll tone it down. But just give ourselves a little bit of fun here in the face. Open. Close. Open. Close. And back again. Now let's go in and tone that down quite a bit. Just want some looseness in the jawline. Alright. Probably go even about half of that. Like I said, just some looseness there. Just a teeny bit of. I think we'd want to do it one frame after that. So 3, so before 9, 14, 19, 24, 29, 34, 39, 44, 49, 54, 59, and back. And again, this is just something that's going to add a little more looseness to the face. It's a kind of quick and easy thing that we can throw in there. And I'll vary the movement of the jaw a little bit more. Let's see. Just by adding a little bit to that bottom lip there. Alright, now let's turn our nerve curves off. So you get that little bit of looseness in the face that helps bring it to life a little bit more. Alright, I think that one works. So let's take a look back at where we started. We're looking at the beautiful work of Michael Whelan, and he said, illustration was always my guiding light throughout the years. So I challenge you guys to go out there and find the thing that you're passionate about. Find the thing that will, you can get lost in, and again, keep you focused as well. Which is kind of a funny dichotomy there, but the thing that you can throw yourself into and lose hours and hours of your time because you're so passionate about it, you're so focused, and you can find that place where you're just streamlined, and also find where it leads you and where it takes you, and follow it. So I think that'll wrap it up for today. I love you guys lots. Thanks for hanging out with me. I had fun doing this one. I think there are a couple of things that we could definitely, I don't really like how the fingers themselves, rotation was kind of funky on there, and would have liked to have been able to do some stuff with the hair, but that controller wasn't working. But I think it's a very aesthetically cool, I think, looking rig, and I think that idea kind of worked all right. The feet probably we could loosen up a little bit more. Definitely spend another hour or so polishing this guy up, but I think that'll do it for today. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes. I love you guys lots. I hope you're taking another step in your journey towards mastering whatever medium it is that you guys are passionate about. And I think that'll wrap it up for today. So keep being awesome, and we will see you for some more animation tomorrow.